Hello, my name is Maureen and I'd like to welcome you to Moose Training's latest video. I had the pleasure of working with Josh from the Elgin Lodge on this step-by-step tutorial, which is geared toward administrators who are looking for a streamlined way in which to complete their weekly envelope. The House Committee Weekly Envelope is an important organizational tool that administrators use to keep their source documents for all cash in the social quarters. It's also reviewed during those twice-a-month House Committee meetings. Today, we'll walk through the use of an Excel workbook which has been specially designed to make completing your weekly envelope as easy as 1, 2, 3. All you need to do is gather your register tapes or POS report, the paperwork for your cash expenditures, and you're ready to begin. You will start with the first worksheet, which is titled Income Weekly Envelope. Next, you will move on to the Expenditures tab. Finally, you'll see that your entries, with the exception of just a few of them, will transfer from the other worksheets. Before we get into the details of completing this workbook, I'd like to offer you a great time-saving tip, and that is that you take a few moments to create a customized template that's specific to your lodge. There are certain entries within this workbook that will remain the same from week to week, and you can save yourself the time of entering those weekly by creating this template. So on this first page of the workbook, which is the Income Weekly Envelope, the fields that will remain the same from week to week are your taxes. Depending upon where your lodge is located, that will determine the number of taxes you have as well as those rates. So for ease of demonstration, this particular lodge we're going to say has just 2 specific rates, and the first one we're going to call sales. So I'll enter that description here, and then I'll tab over to enter the rate, which is 8.25%. This next step is really important as it will help to ensure that you're accurately calculating your tax liability. So this is where I'm going to indicate whether that sales rate of 8.25% is applicable to the different categories of items that I sell. So for the first category, which is tap beer, I'm going to use this drop-down menu to indicate yes, it is applicable. The same is true for packaged beer. It also applies to liquor. It applies to wine, as well as kitchen food, to bar food, and also to miscellaneous merchandise that's sold in the lodge. The second tax rate that is applicable to this lodge is a liquor tax. So again, I'm going to enter that description, type the word liquor, tab over to indicate the rate, which is 3%, and then again for each category of sales, I'm going to say whether or not that rate applies. So yes, it does apply to tap beer, as well as packaged beer, liquor, and also wine. However, it does not apply to kitchen food, or to bar food, or to miscellaneous sales. So I'll leave those as no. Now I'm going to go over to another part of the workbook, which is the weekly envelope, where there's some other fields that will remain the same each week. And those are your lodge name, so I'm going to enter Jefferson, and of course your lodge number, and I'll enter 999 here. Okay, now that we're done with those, we're going to go ahead and save that template. So I'll go up to File, say Save As, and I'm going to head over to where I've already created a folder called Weekly Envelopes. Double click on that, and I'm going to name this template WE for Weekly Envelope Template 999, and then I'll say Save. Great, now I've got my template set up. Each week when I go to complete my weekly envelope, I'll open up that template and I can start my entries for the week. Okay, so now I've actually clicked on the tab for the third worksheet, which is that weekly envelope. It should look really familiar to you as it's really just a slightly modified version of the House Committee weekly envelope that you can purchase for your lodge from catalog sales. The weekly totals for all House Committee cash should be recorded on the front of each week's envelope to match the receipts that are contained inside. We're going to watch this left-hand side here, which contains the amounts received at the register in the social quarters and the kitchen operations. So we'll watch as Josh makes those entries in the Income Weekly Envelope portion of the spreadsheet.
Hi, I'm Josh, and we're here today to give you a quick demonstration of how to use this new spreadsheet you've got to complete your weekly envelope. The first thing we're going to want to do is pull up your template that you should already have loaded. Hopefully you've already gone and filled in your tax rates used for your lodge. As you can see here, we have a state sales tax of 8.25 and a local liquor tax of 3%. You may have more or less taxes depending on the location of your lodge. If it's less, that's fine. Just leave those blank and they won't affect anything. If you've got more, go ahead and use the additional lines you've got to take care of that. You'll then want to make sure you have the correct tax rates applied to the correct items. So as you can see, our food items will not be affected by the liquor tax, whereas everything we sell is affected by the state sales tax. So you like to have that done on the template so that you don't have to go back and play around with it. Once you've opened up the template and that's already been completed, the first thing you want to do is go right up here and change the date. You'll change this to the current Sunday of the week that you're entering on. So that should be the last day of your week. As you can see, that'll then pre-fill the rest of the week right here. And you're all good to go. Right here is a good time to go ahead and save your progress. So we save this under the name weekly envelope, the 9/30/18, so that's the Sunday that our week's ending on. And as you can see, we set up a folder for weekly envelopes, have the year is 2018 and the month of September, and this will help you keep them nice and organized. Once we've gone ahead and done that, you're going to start by entering in your daily sales. So we'll start with the Monday we had from this week. Here we had $50 in draft beer, $75 in bottled and canned beer, $125 in liquor, $25 in wine sales, $100 in prepared food out of the kitchen, $10 in chips sold out of the social quarters, and additionally we had $12 in merchandise sales from a shirt sold. Now here under credit card, this is where you're going to put the amount of credit card sales that you had. For us, it was $250 this week. You will enter this number as a positive number, but as you can see, it'll show red, meaning that it's actually negative and is being deducted from the total. That'll then give you this number over here, the 147, and that's the actual cash amount in your drawer that you should have above and beyond the amount of your bank that's going to go towards your deposit at the end of the week. So we're going to go ahead now, and I'll take a second and just fill in the rest of my week. And there we go. I've got the rest of my week filled in. You'll be able to get a quick snapshot for yourself of what's going on around your lodge. You can tell if you're getting busier, if you know, like you're here and Friday's the busiest day of your week. It should generally look that way. Here our kitchen's closed on Sunday, so obviously we've got no sales there. So that's just a quick way for you to look and make sure everything's looking right. Then we're going to come down here and take a quick look at this section right here. This is going to give you the amounts for your weekly entries into QuickBooks. It'll be done by the account numbers. So you've got 4230 for your tap beer. That was 760, and the new spreadsheet is going to go ahead and remove that step where you're backing out the tax. It's going ahead and doing it for you. So your tax is going to be $76.85, and the actual sales you're going to enter in for tap beer is $683.15. So we've got the account numbers here for you for easy access. The only one we don't have is the bar food. That if you've got your own number for it, and you can write that into your own template. So then as you can see, your total amount of sales for the week is going to show right here with the tax backed out of it, and this number right here is going to be the amount of cash you're going to have applying towards your deposit from your sales out of your social quarters. The additional amounts that we're going to enter right down here. So if your bartenders are having overrings on the week, you're going to put that right there. Now keep in mind, any amounts that you're putting down here are a total for the week. So if your register's over a couple days of the week, you're going to put the total here. If you say you're doing bingo and you do it 2 nights a week, you're going to have the total from both nights combined right here. And say you made $200. You made an additional $200 off your pull tabs. Here where we're at, we do have legal video gaming. That'll bring in about $700 a week, so we'll throw that in there. And the endowment, you'll put in that money you've raised from your 9 o'clock ceremony every night and say that was $25 for the week. And you're going to have this total down here. All of these numbers are going to flow right into the left side of the weekly envelope, and we'll show you that here in just a minute.
Okay, so I've clicked on the third tab, which is the weekly envelope worksheet, and I can see that this is great. All of Josh's entries have transferred over. When you're completing your workbook, I suggest that you do the same. Click on that third worksheet and make sure that all of your entries have transferred as you would expect them to. Before I mention that this worksheet is a slightly modified version of the House Committee envelope that you've purchased from catalog sales, I'd like to point out what's a little bit different at this point. So if you live in a state in which bingo and gaming is legal, your state may actually require that you make a separate deposit to a separate account for that income. So here you'll see for bingo, we have a different deposit that's separated out. We also have a separate deposit for pull tabs or small games. So down here for this total deposit to general funds, this amount here does not include those deposits to bingo or small games. However, if your state doesn't require that those deposits are made separately, then you will see that they are included in this deposit, which is all deposits combined. Okay, so now we're going to explore the right-hand side of your worksheet or the weekly envelope. This is where you're going to document all of your cash expenditures that were paid out during the week. Please note, this does not include any bills that you paid out for during the week. It's meant solely to track any incidental or cash expenditures that would account for a difference between what was collected at the register and the amount of cash actually on hand. So okay, now we're ready to move on to step 2. Let's watch as Josh shows us just exactly how he completes the expenditure sheet of our workbook.
All right, so we're back now, and we're going to show you how to fill out the right side of the weekly envelope using the spreadsheet. So we're going to switch over to that here. And we'll flip over to the tab here for the expenditures weekly envelope, and this is where you're going to put all of your cash expenditures for the week. If you've paid this with a check, there's no need to redo it because that already got done through your QuickBooks. But if you do pay for your beer out of the drawer or out of your petty cash, this is where you're going to want to enter that. So say you bought a keg for the week, a few cases of beer, case of liquor, and a case of wine. This is where you'll enter that. Miscellaneous, this you're really only going to want to use for something that truly is a miscellaneous expense. If you've got a recurring expense that's not listed here, please change one of these other cash payouts over, and you can permanently do that on your template as well. So for food, we bought $100 in supplies. Not really too many complimentary beverages or food going out, but if you do have that going on, this is where you would do that. We were replacing some light bulbs and small repairs around here for about $25 this week. We do have our kitchen towels and our rugs replaced every week, so it's about $50. Spent about $75 on some mixers and olives and lemons and limes for the social quarters. The kitchen had about $25 from condiments and such this week. If you've got an expense from your jukes box, that's where you would put it. Now, as far as a shortage out of the drawer, you would not have entered that on the previous one where it's the overages. Shortages go here on the cash expenditures. So you would enter that here. If you're tipping out your bartenders at the end of the night, this is where you would put that right here on the tips line. Cash back for any type of refund or anything. Entertainment, if you've got a DJ, a band, karaoke, and you're paying them out of the drawer, this is where you do that. If you've got something coming up and you need to increase your petty cash for the week or for permanent use, you're going to put that on here so that it flows through into your reimbursement check for the week. And as you can see, you'll then get your total. This is going to be the amount of your reimbursement check for the week, and it's going to enter the amounts on the right side of your weekly envelope folder now.
Once again, I've clicked on that third tab, which is going to take us to the weekly envelope. and this is really great. I can see that all of Josh's entries have transferred over to this worksheet. So before, I suggested that you use a template which would create a version of this file with your lodge name and number already entered. However, there will still be a few fields on this worksheet that you will need to fill in. One of those is the date that you completed the workbook, and another is that Sunday for the week ending that will be your tapes and register receipts that you're collecting, and all this data is for. You're also going to print this sheet out and make sure that your administrator signs it. Also, remember, you must write a reimbursement check. This is required by general laws for those cash expenditures. Please put the check number here. The House Committee receipt number should be entered here, as well as the date that is shown on your deposit slips. Now, before, Josh suggested that you do a save as when you first got started in here, and I want to remind you to be sure to save this document now. You've done a whole lot more data entry, and I would hate for you to lose all of your hard work. So we have just one final step. Let's watch as Josh shows us what's done.
All right, and the last step we're going to have to do is just putting together your weekly envelope. So you're going to go and you're going to print out the sheet. You can get that signed on there, and then you're going to want to attach it to your envelope, whether you're still using the old pre-printed ones or you're just buying blank ones now because you're not going to refill that. Just take this and attach it to this in any way that you'd like. You can tape it, you can staple it. I prefer to use a glue stick and get it on there, and it works just great. Then you're just going to fill it with all your proofs for the week. So you're going to get all your register tapes from the week, throw those in there. You should have your completed deposit that should match the amount on the front of the envelope. Throw that in there. And then I grab a bundle of all the receipts from the cash expenditures, as well as the stub from the reimbursement check that also matches the amount on the front. We throw that in there, seal it up, and file it away however you normally do. And then know that at this point you've also got the electronic backup copy to help you if this should get lost on you. So that's about it for preparing your new weekly envelope. I hope this is helpful.
I want to thank Josh for the great job he did in demonstrating the use of Moose Training's custom-designed Excel worksheet for completing your weekly envelope. If this is a tool that you might find helpful, please visit Moose International's website at www.mooseintl.org. Click on the training pages, and from there navigate to Demos and Tools, where you'll find the file available for download. Should you have any questions while completing the workbook, please seek out the assistance of your territory manager. I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for watching.